Hi, my name is Izzy Justice. I'm the CEO of EQ Mentor. We are a professional development company that uses a very cutting-edge way to enhance the performance of our clients by taking advantage of the mobility of knowledge. And that's really what I want to talk to you about, this concept called the mobility of knowledge, which I believe single-handedly, more than perhaps any other variable, has changed the way that we live and that we function and operate in the context of the workplace. What is this concept of the mobility of knowledge? Well, let's go back to where knowledge used to be. Historically, knowledge used to exist in our minds. And we transferred that knowledge from us to our children, to the people in our towns and our villages. It was the only place where knowledge was. Then we began to transfer knowledge into walls, on cave walls, and then onto paper, and then into books. And it really hasn't been up until about 150, maybe 200 years ago that formal institutions of where knowledge existed were created. And people went to these institutions to acquire knowledge. And only until the last 5 to maybe 10 years has this concept of the mobility of knowledge emerged. So think about it. The last 5 to 10 years in the context of our existence, thousands and millions of years. What has happened? The mobility of knowledge. What does that mean now? It basically means that no longer do we have to go someplace else to get the knowledge that we want, and no longer do we have to wait for them to be ready to give it to us. A semester program in school, for example, or a seminar or a conference that is scheduled at a certain date, that's scheduled based on their timing, on their schedule. Knowledge is now mobile. It is everywhere. And what makes it mobile are the devices that we have that allow us to connect to each other, and the fact that we have the internet now. And it is a place where all kinds of people can not only go and collaborate, but in fact is a place that stores knowledge. And in an environment where the half-life of knowledge is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter, it's not so much knowing everything as much as it is leveraging this concept of the mobility of knowledge. I often tell people that we live dichotomous lives. We are one person in our social lives and another at work. In our social lives, we feel empowered. We can access our Blackberries, our home computers. We can find any information that we want based on any subject that we want, and immediately we can make things happen. How does that contrast to living and functioning in the context of the workplace? When was the last time that you had an idea or you wanted to do something, and that quickly and that efficiently you could get information, knowledge, the latest information and knowledge for that matter, to help you make a good decision at that moment in time? So the idea for organizations, for people, for you, is to embrace this concept of the mobility of knowledge. Forget about learning and getting information from there, because that's what it used to be, and embrace the idea that knowledge is wherever you are. And if you have the right device and access to the right sources, you can get knowledge wherever you are and based on whatever it is that you want. This concept of the mobility of knowledge is a concept I hope that you will embrace. I hope you'll push your organizations, your families, your societies, the social environment that you're in, and try to bridge this gap between how empowered we are in our social lives and how unempowered, disempowered we are in our professional lives. The idea of the mobility of knowledge has fundamentally changed the way that we live our lives, the way that we learn, the way that we educate ourselves, the way that we store our skills and our competencies, the way that we retrieve them, the way, ultimately, that we can be at our best as often as possible.